Hi everybody, my name's Turn-Based, and I want to show you my fastest ever scientific victory in Civilization 6. So I used Tokugawa, Japan, which is perhaps one of the strongest civs in the game, because your internal trade routes get science and culture dependent on the number of districts at the location that they're sent to. And that's really, really good. That means that when you're building all your internal trade routes, you're getting a little bit of extra passive culture and science to help you stay on top of the cultural civics and the scientific technologies that you need to stay relevant in the game. We did this using pretty standard setups for the map and only Barbarian clans mode. And with this setup, we were able to achieve a turn 177 scientific victory on standard speed. Let's jump in. So we spawn in as Tokugawa, Japan, and we notice that we're on a river system, which is good. That means we can go for commercial hubs instead of having to go for harbors. Oftentimes as Tokugawa, Japan, you'll spawn on the coast, and that means that you have to go for harbors instead of commercial hubs. And in the base game Civ 6, commercial hubs are much better than harbors in my opinion, for most civs anyway. And so our play is definitely to be for early commercial hubs instead of those harbors. We notice we have decent tiles in the capital, nothing crazy. We've got some wheat tiles, which we'll try to use later to grow. But overall, pretty average start, nothing super inspiring about it as of yet, which is a good thing because it means even those average starts can turn into wonderful games. So we've got our 2 scouts built now. We're going to go for a settler after that. And you can see with our warrior, we're dealing with that camp below. A couple barb camps, hopefully we can deal with them. You notice we found a horse in the capital, but it's in the 3rd rank, so not super exciting. Again, nothing here which is inspiring joy, other than the fact that we've noticed that we don't have any immediate next door neighbors, which is always a great sign of surviving the first 50 turns, honestly. So I took some time deciding where this second settler was going to go, and I eventually decided to land on the luxury to the north there, because I really value settling on luxuries with my X-bands, because going -1 amenities is really bad. And even though it doesn't have good tiles in the first ring to work, I decided I'm willing to buy out to good tiles when I settle that city so that it can be at least decent to start. It's really hard to get those early amenities, particularly because I would have to dive into a different technology to get them, and I don't want to spend the time doing that when I want to rush for commercial hubs. So that's why I'm placing that second city there, even though there are better second cities elsewhere. So we find a different civ, we find a couple Menelik and Laruto, we find a natural wonder with our scouts. We realize we have a lot of land actually, which is really nice, always a prerequisite in my opinion for having a great game if you're not going to focus on war. We are hard researching irrigation. I am going to forget to switch that out before the boost, but I plan to get the boost, but I'm going to end up missing that. Oh well, because I've got all these irrigation luxuries. And yeah, just looking for anything there, so I try to get access through here. But just the big thing here is we have a lot of space, and that's going to be really important later. So there, we just finished up currency. We're going to go ahead and switch on over to commercial hubs. And you'll notice that looking at our yields, there is nothing phenomenal about our start. We've got 3 cities down by turn almost 50. That's pretty average. We're going to build our 4th city pretty soon. Here I'm just deciding where to place that commercial hub. I decide to leave room for maybe I'll have something else there, and I bite the bullet and build that on the hill. But we're just going to place our commercial hubs down to lock in that price. But just nothing crazy about this start. And even though that's the case, we're going to find a way to get our tempo eventually. But right now, nothing super exciting. So we find this relic, really excited about that. That's going to change the game. Right now this start's been pretty average, we don't have a lot of gold per turn. We don't have science, we don't have culture really yet. We know we can get some later on, but to start, we'd like some more. That relic is going to allow us to sell to the AI, and that's going to explode our gold and really take this start and then lift it from the ground. So our 4th settler comes out on turn 56, and we're going to settle that close by. This settler is going to end up being our Valley city. You can see we're buying Diplo favor, and we realize that we can actually sell this Diplo favor, so that's really good. We might do some of that, but we're definitely going to start working on selling our relic as well. So we're probably going to sell some Diplo favor here. That's yep, we'll get a little bit of gold per turn from that, and then look at that gold per turn from the relic, and we were just 13 gold per turn, on turn 49, and now on turn 56 we're going to be about 50 gold per turn, and that is going to absolutely change this game and turn it into something really special. So our fourth city gets founded, turn 61. Nothing crazy about that. We researched actually the wheel. We stepped in for that because those water mills are actually quite valuable. And as you see, I'm going to actually use that money to buy a water mill, which I rarely ever do. I would say this is rarely ever the play, but in this instance, we've got 3 different wheat tiles. And that is the way we're going to be able to grow our capital, is by working those improved wheats. A 2-1 starting wheat is really bad, but a 4-1, all of a sudden you've got a couple growth tiles in your city, and you're actually going to have a pretty decent capital, even though from the start it wasn't so good maybe. So this is mostly a plea for why we use commercial hubs, particularly with Tokugawa. That's quite insane. We get that 3 food, 2 production, additional science, gold, and culture on that internal trade route. It's going to be even better soon when our government plaza finishes. And you can see I'm sending that trade route from the city, which is building the next trade route capacity, which is how you should be doing it. Always be focusing on improving the city, which is going to build you your next trade route, so that when you found new cities, they can start with an additional trade route. And being able to found cities with a trade route is absolutely absurd. You will notice it right away how much better your cities feel, how much quicker they get through their production queue, how much faster they grow. So absolutely recommend those internal trade routes early on if you get Magnus with the right promotions. Particularly with this Civ. Obviously with this Civ, it's not even negotiable, you have to do it. But even with other Civs, it's very, very good. So at turn 68, we're quickly approaching a point in the game where we want to start settling a lot of cities quickly. You can see we're already building a settler in Nagoya, I guess that's how that's said, and I'm going to try to get that ancestral hall built in the capital. And you can see how much value that gold is putting in for us. We've now built it up to 125 per turn, mostly just by selling our resources in Diplo favor, and that allows us to buy those builders in the capital. Without those builders, this whole process probably takes about 10 turns longer to get going, because we're going to have to be able to chop in our capital to get that ancestral hall, which is a really expensive building, built a lot faster, and then even get those settlers chopped out as well. And because of our trade routes, we're going to be able to build settlers out of 3 of our cities, which is really good. And yeah, being able to build settlers out of, we would not be able to win this game if we could only build settlers out of our capital. It's just not good enough. But because the rest of our cities can pull some weight, we are going to be just fine, as you'll see. So it's turn 77, and this is your kind of reminder where we've run out of the ability to buy Diplo favor. Everybody's wanting to buy it themselves, but we then switch over to buying luxury resources from the AI, and if you're lucky, they're going to be good about improving them themselves, and you absolutely want to be buying those luxuries. Having +5 amenities is amazing if you get them in all of your cities. And you can see we still only have 4 cities right now, but very quickly that's going to change. We have 2 settlers already built, and a few more being built now. We are fully within the settling window. I think we've got 3 cities building settlers, maybe just 2 right now, but we definitely need to get all these cities down as quickly as we can. So a quick look at Osaka here, you're going to realize it's actually quite a bad city. It only has 1 2-2 tile, and everything else is kind of meh. But getting that trade route going and starting the city with the trade route is so good. I'm still going to have time to build that commercial hub and build that industrial zone in that city, because I get that trade route early. And now that commercial hub only takes 11 turns. It's on 1 pop right now, and it has very mediocre tiles. So that's just kind of the value of sending those early trade routes. Getting those cities set up with those trade routes is crazy strong. If you're not doing it in your games, you absolutely should be. So we've gotten to turn 84, and we're about to finish feudalism. Not the best feudalism time ever, but still reasonable. And of course we're going to switch that out. Here I was just having Diplo vegan and the extra envoys, but you can see we're going to switch in feudalism, and that is a huge tech. It's one of the best civics in the game. The extra builder charges are going to be massive, and here. I'm just trying to decide what to do. I think I end up getting Magnus's provision trade so that my capital can stay high population while I continue to produce settlers. And I'm on, I think, 7 cities right now, and a couple more are going to be founded soon. And every city that's being founded is having a trade route to start, which is really, really good. And then if you can do that and quickly get the next ones up and running, I mean, it's just going to really skyrocket your game. My gold per turn is amazing for this part of the game, considering I'm using internal trade routes only. Those trade routes, remember, give you extra gold, even the internal ones. And so that's really good, along with selling to the AI and some various other just tile improvements for gold. We've got a lot of gold per turn right now, and our science and culture are very reasonable. This time, for most civs, you'd probably be like 10 to 15 less science and culture right now, and this is all because of the trade routes kind of carrying us through. So even though we're focusing on expanding, focusing on tempo, we're still able to keep up a little bit with our yields, and that is a huge part of why this civ is so good. So right now, we're turn 87, we've got 8 cities down, 9 on the way and 10 being built, and it's getting more and more expensive to build those settlers. We are probably going to hard build one more. I think we end up buying one, so we hard build from this city. We're going to try to chop out some of that, and then the rest of the cities that we get this game, we're actually going to steal from the AI, not through conquest, but through loyalty pressure, which of course you don't have a lot of control over in your games, but if, you know, in any really successful run, you're going to have some free cities, whether it's stealing settlers or just getting them through loyalty pressure. It's pretty much essential that you get those extra cities. So we're going to get Soto at some point later in the game. As you can see, we're going to Golden Age this age, and we are transitioning a couple cities towards getting those campuses down, at least placed, and here we're going to try to get that Coliseum built as fast as we can. It's going to be, I think, 6 or 7 city Coliseum. I don't think I end up getting those 2 northern cities down, so probably just one extra city there, but nonetheless still a pretty good wonder. So we do end up getting a golden age in the medieval era, and that is the most important golden age to get in my opinion. And I've been really enjoying monumentality. Obviously, it's very easy to get value from monumentality. We're definitely going to get some value. We're going to buy a settler at some point. We're going to, of course, buy a lot of workers around where we need them. And although that extra science from free inquiry can be nice, sometimes it can really affect your tempo if you can't get those builders out. And so generally I like monumentality. It's a pretty safe bet to have success here. So we end up doing, I think we do end up buying that settler, which is nice that that's the 11th city accounted for. And I think, yeah, so this game is going pretty well. We're going to have probably 10 or 11 cities before turn 100. And even though, you know, by turn 77, I think we were still at 4 cities. You know, as long as you get those cities down, and as soon as they're down, they're able to be good, that's what's really important. You know, having a city down, you know, 10 turns sooner, but it can't grow because it doesn't have a trade route and it doesn't have a builder, is not super valuable, because the city that has the trade route and the builder is going to be online and be useful for your empire much sooner. So over the end turn here, we're getting through turn 100. We're at 89 science and 81 culture. Because they're about even, you can tell that they're basically getting it all from trade. Until now, we just got that extra culture from Coliseum, so we just finished that up. We're working towards exploration and eventually Kilwa Kisawani coming in very soon, and luckily we can build that in our capital, which is also very nice. And I decided just to hard research it. I was gonna get the boost, but I decided I didn't want to risk losing the wonder, which can happen on Deity difficulty standard speed with 8 players. You're liable to miss it. In fact, it could be gone already in some games, so a little bit risky, a little bit lucky that we were able to secure it, even delaying it this long. But definitely being able to build it in the capital is quite a boon. We'll not be able to use a great engineer to work it down. We'll have to chop it out. But that's fine. The capital is perfectly capable enough of building Kilwa Kisawani in time. So after our 10 turn checkup, we can see that we are still a reasonable science, a 151, 107 culture. We have actually gained another city, Liabella. That's someone else settled that city, and we stole it from them. And in fact, we're not going to purchase or build another settler this game, and we're going to end up with 16 cities. I think we end up stealing like 4 or 5 cities from loyalty pressure, which is absurd, but can happen. You know, if you're making sure you're golden aging every age, then there's a chance that it happens. You can see Soto is going to flip to us as well. That ends up being an okay city. And we finished Kilwa on turn 111, which is okay. I've gotten away with waiting longer, and definitely you should be trying to finish it sooner if you can, but we got a little bit lucky there and finished that. And this game, we end up having 6 scientific city-states in the game, all said and done, which is really good. We don't get Geneva, which is the one you really want, but that's okay. We didn't get Geneva or Taruga, but we still had 6 blue city-states, which is still plenty. And my estimation, to be sub 200, you probably need 4. And if you have less than 4, it's going to be quite hard. So, as long as you've got 4, you should try to aim for under 200, particularly if you do get Kilwa. If you miss Kilwa, it might be hard. So another 10 turns has passed, and our science has over doubled. We are now at 400 science per turn. We found another scientific city-state. We just found Fez. Outrageous, and we're going to be able to seize them right away. And we are rocking and rolling. A lot of our cities now have the campus built and a lot of the buildings inside built, and we're nearing the end of our science explosion window, our first one anyway. And we're going to be well above where we need to be at this point. You'd like to really get a lot of your universities finished in all your cities by turn 130. And we have done that. We're still not going to finish. We're going to have some other ones finishing later, but for the most part, we're well on our way. And we have research industrialization, and we are barreling towards labs. We're going to get there very, very fast. So, at the end turn 129, we are 3 techs away from chemistry. We are almost there. We're going to get it to chemistry at turn 135, I believe. I think we get a scientist and boost labs to get that extra turn. And our science is all the way up to close to 600 now. We also have pretty decent culture. Most of the times when I'm going for a science run, I don't have culture like this. You can see I got Halicarnassus at some point in Okayama. My one city with a harbor, and we have stolen another. I think we've got 15 cities at this point, and 4 of them, I think 3 to 4 of them, I stole from the enemy just with loyalty pressure. So things are looking great. I think maybe we're a little slow to build Ruhr Valley. You can see we're building Ruhr Valley actually in Sendai. I put some great engineer charges into it, but it's gonna get built okay. I'm building Oxford University in my second city. So those 2 really good wonders. Oxford's nice to have, but it's not necessary. A lot of times, if you're a little bit slower, the AI might actually beat you to it. So it's certainly not a necessary wonder, but if you can get it, you might as well try for it. And we are rocking and rolling here, turn 131. 6 scientific city-states. This game is looking crazy. This is about when I really know that I've got something special here, because this is a really fast lapse time that we're about to have. Usually you want to aim to be around or about turn 145 to get into labs, and we're going to get into labs about 10 turns faster than that. So we're going to be plenty in time here. So it's turn 140, and actually Laruto actually declared war on us about 5 turns ago, and I think he's got bias to declare on you if you're in a golden age, and we were in a golden age. But we were able to get walls in a couple cities to fend off those pesky, their raiding cavalry unit, which is actually good. He actually almost took Kyoto, but we were able to fend off that attack. We're going to try to get some pillage value for our troubles. Luckily, I don't think he pillaged any trade routes or any of our districts. He just attacked some of our cities. You can see the damage on Kyoto there. But all in all, we are working on labs in some of our cities. Some of them have already finished research labs. We are about to finish rocketry and get that built in our Ruhr Valley city, which did finish in Sendai. We are just continuing to, right now, looking for ways to find housing in that city. And also production with the encampment. We'll put a turn to that encampment and research that before we build that spaceport. Gives you extra housing and extra production in those buildings, so nice to have. And you can see I've got Pingala in there. You could also put Magnus in there, but here I've got Pingala. I think Magnus, of course, in the capital, is being very, very useful to the Empire, giving all those extra yields on the trade routes, so we're going to leave him where he is. And we are just about to get to spaceport, so the sooner you research rocketry, the sooner the spaceport gets placed, the sooner it gets built, and everything from there continues on and on. We have all the cities we're ever going to have in this game, and the rest of it is just about getting those spaceports built, and all of the other expands. I think I do end up doing a cheeky little war at the end against Ethiopia just to get some extra pillage yields, but other than that, the end game is actually pretty straightforward once you know what to do, and we are certainly in the end game now, so let's keep it going. So you can see by turn 150, our science is absolutely absurd. I think I'm actually going to be able to one turn every single technology for the rest of the game. I think maybe there's a couple that I don't, but basically every other technology gets one turn from here on out. And we are on our way towards nanotechnology. We found the last couple city-states here. We actually get Augment, great, and which is kind of a nice one. We have a couple coastal cities that can take advantage of that. Yeah, the war for Rutu is over. Hope Return is not crazy good, but we've got a lot of culture for a science game already. We're going to get so far in the cultural tree, we're going to actually have more culture than we need to win this game at the end of it. We've actually got Big Ben in Tokyo, which is kind of nice. Our spaceport is almost done in our River Valley City. Again, with this, I think if you have crazy like gold and faith, maybe there might be instances where you can kind of buy that spaceport and then chop out projects, but there are strategies that exist like that, but it's tough to pull off generally, and so unfortunately most strategies require you to hard build that spaceport, and it does kind of become limiting in a lot of cases. So we still actually have not finished our first spaceport yet. It's almost done, so we'll get working on those projects soon. This game is almost production limiting, even though Sendai is a good city. It's not a slouch city, it's a great city, but it's an almost production limited game just because their science is so crazy. So certainly something to improve there. Here I'm just working on getting those extra bonuses. This is getting the extra Corsair so we can get 3 is it armies or corps, I think, and with those corps getting that boost to that cultural tech. But yeah, mostly everything is finished here. Just getting a couple. Remember to get those solar panels where you can't get your reach from your industrial zones. Make sure you build solar panels in those cities when you can. So as you can see, it's turn 160, and we have reached ideology. That's pretty good for me. I'm going for a science game, and I think we're about to finish moon landing, and that is going to lead to a lot of culture. We're going to way overshoot that 5% for suzerainty bonus, and we're going to even get into synthetic optimization, the next government. Get to 2 governments here with our moon landing. Remember that moon landing gives you culture equal to 10 times your science per turn on the turn that it's researched. So I believe here in a minute I'm going to switch out all of my cities to science so that we get the maximum amount of culture on the turn that we do end up researching moon landing. And so that's just something that you got to keep in mind. You can see how production is kind of limiting here. I mean, we really should be. We have so much science. We'd rather be past some of these. I guess I wish I had a couple extra chops in my River Valley city, but unfortunately that city does not have any chops at this point left. So yeah, production can be limiting. Turns out. You can see I'm about to actually get that modern armor and go to war with Ethiopia to get even more science, which I really don't even need, to be honest. This was almost unnecessary. So we have reached turn 170, and we've actually reached the synthetic optimization government type. We actually skipped. We did end up going for democracy for the amenities, as you can see. Actually, you can't tell, but I usually go for democracy just because of the New Deal amenities. end up being really useful and end up usually outweighing the extra science you get from communism. But it is an argument for it, considering we're doing only internal trade routes. But just because of New Deal, I ended up going democracy. But here it doesn't really even matter because, 10 turns later, less than that, we're in a whole new government. So this is our end game government, so that we can build those projects a bit faster. We're about to research off-world mission. And yeah, because you can definitely, this is definitely somewhat of a production limiting game, because I'm actually not done the other tech yet, or the other thing yet. I'm able to use the builder charges to get it done faster, but I'm trying as hard as I can to get Sendai through this project so that we can work on those other spaceship projects. So you actually, the science per turn is over what it needs to be at standard speed. The most science you can have per turn and be useful is 2,500. Anything over that is overkill. We are researching every tech one per turn, and this is of course the last tech that we need. So we are just trying to get through that. And then from here, I'll just show you kind of the end of the game and how this all finishes. So here we are at turn 176. I was trying to see if I could get this done a little bit faster, but here we go. We get to 177, and on the next turn we'll be done. I almost got it a turn faster, but not quite. Still missing 5 progress towards the place. But at this point, there's nothing I can do. I'm just going to end turn again, and we'll have finished the game. A pretty great game overall. Pretty happy to see the victory. Yeah, I mean, just Tokugawa is really good. If you've never played with them, you should play with them. Definitely my fastest win ever. I've never played Hammurabi. I'm not super interested in that because it's a totally different way to play the game. But in terms of, standard play style, like, this kind of gives you, I think, a good ceiling of what you can achieve. And so 177 is certainly the fastest victory I've ever achieved on standard speed. Remember, we did not use any of those broken secret societies or the heroes or legends or monopolies or anything like that. We just had the extra city-states from the Barb clans. And of course, having 6 scientific city-states is really good. We didn't have Geneva, we didn't have Taruga, we didn't need those. But yeah, so definitely going commercial hubs first turns out to be pretty good.